gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn the business, welcome to Twinness. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn the business, welcome to Twinness.
Hello, Tisha McDonald here, Alternatives Beauty Studio.
I'm Tanika Gillar. I am naturally yours.
So, how are you, Nikki?
I'm good. I was trying to figure out why I couldn't connect to Twinness on my phone, but it just finally pulled up. Anyway, today's topic is Marfan syndrome, which is what I was trying to do. And it's an inherited disorder. It's passed on by fathers, usually over the age of 45 years old. It affects the heart, the eyes, the spinal cord, and the blood vessels and bones. And we also know that this month is Heart Health Awareness. So we're looking at heart health this month, and then just different conditions affecting the special needs community. Marfan syndrome this month for February, and the color for them is red.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I don't know. My computer camera just keeps being in and out. The light keeps being off and on. I don't know what's going on with this thing. So yesterday we had our Lock It Up workshop.
Oh, good.
It was amazing.
Yay.
It was so much fun, and I have to thank the ladies for coming out last night. It was a lot of fun, Tanika. It was a lot of fun. And then I got in trouble. I have to do Golden Glow almost like immediately.
Okay.
I have to plan that, but that was not going to be until like May. I believe that's the next time I was going to do Golden Glow. So I have to look at my calendar because I know I have it there a second time, but I believe it is in May. But it was fabulous. The ladies came in. I had Andrew there. He got his hair done right there on the spot. We talked a lot about like what's the difference between a loctician and doing locks. We talked a lot about that, products and stuff like that. It was just a good class, but I know that's not what we're talking about tonight.
It's okay.
We hey Renee.
Yeah.
Renee made the sample oils for me to give in the gift bags. And Renee, I forgot that I asked you to make the shampoo bars as a sample. Here we go. Tanika's looking at me like, Tisha, you always do this. So I ended up giving them the full shampoo bars to take home as testers.
Thank full you. Shampoo bar? That's a lot of product.
Yeah, well, that's what I had, so I gave it to them.
That's quite a gift.
Thank you, because I'm a giver.
Please, I would have been taking one bar and slicing it up into quarters.
Oh, gosh, Nikki, you are just too much. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Yesterday we had our second, Alternatives had their second, workshop, and it was amazing. It was really good. Yeah, so that's it. I know, Renee, but I forgot that I asked you, and I forgot, anyway, it doesn't matter. It was good. It's given away. It's nothing I could do about that now, and I don't regret it. It was just it was good. So let's talk Foster Care to Fabulous. This is our last episode for this month on that. And we're just talking about not the perseverance, but now what do we do with the next chapter, the next generation? How do we make it different for our children? And how can you kind of break that cycle in your own life if needed?
Yeah. So I think that everything shapes, your childhood shapes who you are as an adult. Either you're going to fall into the trap or you're going to break the cycle. You're going to find a way out. So, for us, I know one thing for the two of us, at least, was like, we don't deal with drugs and minimum alcohol, I'm going to say, because I drink my wine. But we knew that we would stay away from drugs. And we always say, if something happens to us and they say it was drugs in the system, hey, Niala, then they lying, because we don't do drugs at all. So that takes us away from going down that same path of drug abuse, because we saw what happened to our family, all because of drug use. So that's
True
one
indeed.
thing. Yeah. So
True indeed. And one of your brothers swear that I'm not telling the truth when I say I have never touched a drug, or to be honest, at that point, and this is in my 40s, I hadn't even never seen weed. I never even knew what it looked like. If you showed me today, I wouldn't even know what that
right,
looks like. And he
right,
did not believe me. And I'm like,
right.
I'm telling you the truth, you know. So
Yes. Me too. I'm the same way. And even it came down to where y'all know I'm a nurse. And so it came down to a point where the doctor gave me Robitussin with codeine in it. And it had me like a zombie. And someone said to me, you know how much I could get on the street for this? I'm like, wait a minute now. Like, I would never think to do that. But I'm like, no, my license is on the line. Why are you talking about how much you could get on the street for this syrup or whatever? But I did tell the doctor never to give that to me ever again, because I was just like a zombie. I would wake up and go right back. And I'm like, I got kids to take care of. So that it only took one time for me with that. But, like I was saying, you know, your experiences shape who you are. And we do have a brother that's always on something, but that's the way he copes in life and deals in life. And so where we go the opposite, we have one that goes another way, and that's okay if it works for him, if he's still functioning, but yeah, so that's one thing. And I think it also helps us to shape our children and say, hey, this is why you don't have grandparents, because of this.
yeah, but if I have to be honest, do I have to be honest?
Yeah.
If I have to be honest, I have one child that's like, can I try? I want to try. And I'm just like, no, you can't try, like, because you don't know what these drugs are laced with today. And I'm like, no, you cannot. No, you cannot, so there's always one.
Yeah. So I think that, society makes it look
So
good. Like,
cool.
yeah, look cool. Yeah. Because, you have your celebrities that always have a cup. And so it's always what's in your cup.
Mm-hmm. And well, weed is legalized now in a lot of states. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, maybe I could. And I'm like, well, I don't think so,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, moving on to so how do we so yes, it's just like education. And like I was saying a couple of weeks ago, Ray is now in the process of filling out scholarships and stuff like that. And it's like kind of a little daunting for her because even though I don't know how to phrase this where I don't get myself in trouble. I said, Ray, you're one generation away from poverty. That's the way I explained it to her. Ray, you're one generation away from poverty. So she has to tell her story in the scholarships, but she's feeling like she's not going to get the scholarships because we make too much. And we're like, no, you'll still get scholarships because these are academics. This has nothing really to do with our financials. It really has to do with your smarts. So if they really look at your grades and what school you go to and stuff like that, because it's different. When I lived in the Poconos, everything was like at her fingertips. But where we are now, it's more, they don't have as much. And so she sees the difference. It's like night and day. And so she feels like her world just came crashing down. She's at the top of her class. And so I said, well, this could be a plus for you, because if they see that you're in a school that doesn't have much, and you're really meeting and exceeding the expectations, they're going to give you scholarships. Stop worrying. She's a worry boy. But
Okay.
so she got to see both lives, but she's never got to see our life. And I'm glad that she did it. But I also feel like it's a disservice to my children because they don't have any street smarts, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
So you talked about in a long way around, but I guess your point is.
My point is that she's just one generation away from poverty. So I'm trying to teach them that don't take the things that they have now for granted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No, I was saying I couldn't. I got the scholarship part. I got the intelligence part. But I
Because we
didn't.
just raised them differently than what we were raised. I would never verbally abuse my child, physically abuse my children, I should say, my children. I'm not going to call them stupid. I'm not going to, and that's the way, some of the stuff that was said to us. I would never repeat that onto the next generation. We're talking about how do you break that. I'm not going to repeat those things to my kids. My thing is going to be, you can do it. And if you believe you cannot do it, then you can't do it, but you can do it,
Okay. Meanwhile, I do abuse Tisha's kids because I'm auntie and I can do that. However, I was going to say, even with our parenting styles, like I'm real mellow and laid back. And a lot of times people will say, well, you need to be more this or more that, but that's just not my style. That's just not my way. I think I'm more communicative. I like to talk more. Now I know Cordell probably has had a spanking maybe twice in life, and one was just from stealing. I remember that one, like, you don't do that. You don't ever steal from your mother. And I don't even remember the second one, but so that's just my way. And then you have to know the temperament of your child or your children going forward. But I also think that the foster care shaped us to be independent and strong.
Independent and strong. Let's see. Independent. I think some of that came from Rudine as well.
Mm-hmm.
She always said that we needed to have our own independence. And I think sometimes I'm too independent. That can be another issue. Like, I'm always ready to do something. I always feel like I don't need permission to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to do it, So it's either you're going to get along for the ride, but do I have a problem with, like, it's not an authority thing. It's just like, I feel like I can do this and I'm going to do this. Like, nothing is going to stop me from doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So a little too much independence sometimes.
Yeah. I think I could be a little bit pushover sometimes,
It's never a stop for me. There's always something next. What's next? What's the next thing? What am
Yeah.
I? It never stops for me. And I don't know. That could be a good and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a good and a bad thing. But every time I'm thinking of the next, it's always for a positive for somebody else. It's a
Mm-hmm.
positive for me, but it's also a positive for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Thank y'all for joining Twin. We are just talking about, this is the wrap up of Foster Care to Fabulous, how we are encouraging the next generation, our families, how our lives have set the pathway for where we are today. So Tisha's saying that she's always doing things. She's always moving on to the next level. And she's not sure if that has something to do with our upbringing, our raising. So that's where we're catching you up on that. But we're just talking about how Tisha was talking about how we're just a generation away from poverty. Like, our kids haven't experienced the things that we've done. And if our brother Alex was on, he would say the same thing. Like, our children have not seen the things that we saw or been through the things that we've been through. And that's a blessing by itself.
Yes. And even though they haven't seen it, I don't think that they take it for granted because, like this last trip that we took to New Orleans, they saw what can happen when you are on drugs. Even without the trips, they know.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we can't say what's in their future, but we know the path that we've given them, the example that we've given them by working for yourself or for someone, school, education, independence, So I think that our lifestyle kind of reflects to them what we expect. If
that's true. That's true. But sometimes our kids can't take it for granted.
They can't.
They take it for granted. I remember a vacation we went on and, I said something like, sometimes a lot of kids can't take these vacations, as many as we take. And I got the response like, well, that's on them, and that really burned me up a little bit. And, we had to talk about it because that was not the right response.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think, that's true because, Cordell had his little thing this week and he's very remorseful about it. But at the same time, it's like, well, like, I'll get another car. Yeah, it happens. I'll get another car, might not be right away, but, I'll just work to get it fixed, So it's kind kind of a nonchalant, and in a way that is a blessing to be able to just brush it off in a sense, but to know that you're still responsible at the end, taking responsibility. I think a lot of times we don't do that, or it's not instilled. And so I guess we was talking last week about the helping hand that you're looking for. And Bishop Jakes talked about the same thing today. So I was like, we just talked about that last week, but making sure that you use your gifts, your talents, whatever is in you. We talk about this a lot on our business aspects, finding your purpose in life, finding your gifting, encouraging and nurturing, those skills or those abilities, because like Ray Lee, she's a very smart girl. And so Tisha encourages that intelligence, and even though Tisha grew up feeling that she was not the smart one, her daughter is kind of just like off the charts with intelligence. So it's like, okay, but she encourages that. Michael does his own thing with his sports and everything like that. So you encourage him on that. And then Melvin, you just there for support for that. And so I think it's important that, we emulate the lifestyle we expect for our children, but we also nurture them and give them the love and the support that they need. Like, it would be wrong for me, my son, y'all, if y'all don't know, had a car accident. It would be wrong for me to just be cursing him out and, things like that, because it's an accident. Yes, you could have been paying more attention. Yes, you could have been driving a little slower. Yes, but this is where we are now. What do we do from this point? I think I'm more of a solution person. So, yeah.
That's true. That's true. You could have taken it a whole nother way. Why weren't you paying attention? You hit that car. You driving too fast in the rain. What would that have gotten you? It's more like, Cordell, now you needed to drive slower in the rain. It's all in the approach, and sometimes once you start on that level high, they don't even hear you. It's going right out, but by you taking it down, he's already feeling the remorse. He's already, don't make him feel worse, but by you just speaking to him, he already feels, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get it fixed, this, that, and other. He knows his responsibility. I remember Michael and their new drivers. When Michael the second day he drove the car, he got into an accident. The second day, well, he was where he wasn't supposed to be. So that's more why he got in trouble, more than the accident. You weren't supposed to be there. You wasn't supposed to be at Target. We gave you permission to go to the pizza shop, So what were you doing all the way across town? That's what he got in trouble for. But again, it was Michael, you're going to pay for that. And it was a scratch. But the lady just so happened to be in her car with her daughter. So, and they were already scared. When you're talking about a 17-year-old just learning to drive, they're both now he's 18, but both of them 17 at the time of their accidents. So it's all in your approach. Changing the generational is the way you speak to your children, the way you discipline your children, the way you encourage your children. And, even though Ray is smart, I'm not hounding her. You need to study that. No, I'm not doing that to her, because she knows what she needs to do. I don't have to speak to her on it. I don't want to say she's proven herself. She doesn't have to prove herself to me. She's proven herself to herself. For the past few months, she's been competing against kids in her school just to realize she is the smartest in her school. She is the valedictorian. She's competing against herself. And she's stressing herself out. So it's all in the approach,
Yeah. Y'all are watching Twinness again. And we're just talking about Foster Kid and Fabulous. I think our careers also put us in a different way, because we get to come in contact with so many people, professionals and otherwise. And I think that when we talk to our young people, one, they can't believe how old we are. And then two, they don't believe the story. A lot of times people will say, I didn't know you was in foster care. I didn't know you was a foster child, things like that. And so I think our career choices.
And I'm going to be honest. I know we have Michelle on here and she's a teacher, but I'm a cosmetology teacher. We get into the personal, I tell them the business side, what I've experienced on the business side. But then when I tell them the personal side, they're like, how did you do it? How did you persevere? I have students that come to me after class. I've had 3 so far that's really going through some challenging times. And, even just Thursday, a student just cried, and all I could do was hug her for the situation she's in right now. But they just want to know, how did you do it? How did you come out of it? How can I move forward? How can I maneuver? And I have to tread lightly as a teacher on what I say and what I do. But just because I tell my story, and I do let my class know, look, I was where you were. Some of you are, maybe in a different way, but I understand you, so I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, this, oh, that, because yes, you're going to have a rough time. And we all do. I mean, that's just part of life. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
All right, I need you to put Miss Baker's comment back up there because I'm not getting it on my phone. Okay, yes, Miss Baker, she says at the same time, I don't want to mispronounce your name. So at the same time, we have to allow them to also find their own ways. I agree with that. And you're going to need to be on this other show that we're about to have eventually down the road, because yes, they need to find their own way. At the same time, how much influence do we put on them? How much influence and guidance do we give them in order to get them on the right path? So we talk about this a lot, that Tisha's always been into hair and nails and makeup, and I've always been into books and medical. And so now my son doesn't want to go nowhere near the medical field at all.
And my daughter does not want to be anywhere near the beauty field.
Okay. And so how do we guide them or direct them? Yes, we have to find out what they're gifted in, what they're talented in, and also even in life, they're going to make their own decisions. So I understand what you're saying on that, Ms. Baker, that they got to find their own way. And I do believe in them finding their way, because I tell people all the time, I didn't go to nursing school till I was almost 25 years old. And so it took me a while, but I was always in the medical field. I did medical billing and coding. I was an EMT. I did stuff that got me to the child life next. So yes, my point was, Miss Baker, if you're still on, me and one of the barbers always arguing over this case. Like your Asians, if you're in the family business, this is a family business. So you're expected to be part of the family business. And like Tisha saying, her daughter has no interest in being part of that family business. Right.
However, my husband disagrees, and he's like, it's the family business. She needs to be. And I'm like, no, each child has to find their own way.
Exactly.
And if they don't want to go to college, we're not forcing college on them.
Exactly.
You could go to a vocational school just as long as you're making an honest living. There's certain areas we'll say, no, you can't do that. But we're not pushing them to go to college. We're not forcing them to go to college. We're not doing that. But you have to make an honest living.
Yeah. So back to the foster care part. So Ms. Baker, yes, we need to hash that one out and see in which way, because we have to be a guide for them as well as them being able to fly on their own. So that's
if you see the talent, where their talent lies, then you can nurture that. If you see where their talent lies, you can nurture that.
Yes. And so doing hair and meeting all the people that do all the things, you meet your professionals, you meet your students, and it's just good to have conversation with people because you learn from one another. And so I think that helps us as well. Because like you said, you meet your foster kids and, you meet different people in the industry. And I love that,
Can you see this comment, Nikki?
Yes. College isn't for everyone. Yes, they must.
And then Michelle, how do you nurture their passion? Because some are very artistic. I remember, my daughter, Imani, she wanted to be a artist. She wanted to draw, paint, this, that, and other. And I'm like, well, can you name me 5 Black known artists of today? And so I did not think that would be a path, because how is she going to make money in that? Did I really see a talent there? I didn't want to discourage her, but I didn't know how to encourage her either in that field. You know what I mean? So it was like a fine line, because you want them to be able to sustain whatever they're going to be doing. But then, that was just like
Tisha,
I don't know.
I don't know, T. This generation.
Now this generation, they have the
Tisha,
social media and stuff like this. I get that now.
She takes bubbles, the barrettes, and make beautiful artwork out of just barrettes. And you couldn't even tell. So it's like a 3D art. There was another girl, because y'all know I'm a creative, and so I like to watch creative stuff. Just the glitter and the paint and the stuff, she just throw it on there. And when she peels back the layers, you could see this beautiful artistic piece that she has. So yes, we have to encourage that, long as they really are into that. Because, I was telling you, there's a little 6-year-old boy, he's like a prodigy that just sews couture gowns and stuff. And he's only 6.
But
So
that's when you could see the talent. I was
yes.
not seeing artists.
Yeah, because if you're doing it, you're going to be doing it all the time, right?
Exactly.
I understand what you're saying, not just
like Michael. He forever he was like, I'm going to be a chef. I'm going to be a chef. I said, can you make me well, I don't see no cooking going on in here, So,
yeah.
so
but he used to. He used
to, but no more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Y'all are watching Twiness, and so it's just important for us to keep fighting through life. Find a mentor, find someone that can encourage you. Sometimes it's hard to do that. You never know who's for you and who's against you, but you have to just keep the faith and keep moving forward towards your goals, because things get better if you move in the right direction.
All right, here's Miss Baker again.
Mm-hmm.
Have to help
yes, find the niche.
Find their niche, because
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Totally agree, Miss Baker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I teach in my classes is what is going to be your niche. I'm talking about in the beauty field. What is going to be your niche? What's going to separate you from the others? So we're talking about from foster care to fabulous, the next generation. How are we changing the lives of our next ones? And how can you change the lives of your next ones if you're in that same situation, or just from a hard background, I guess, right now, I wasn't sure if I was going to put it out there today, but I'll put it out there mildly. I had a conversation earlier this week with my job, my part-time job at Empire at the cosmetology school. And I'm going to be opening my own cosmetology school. And what is my niche? You have Paul Mitchell who teaches cut and color. What is my niche? My niche is textured hair and business. So finding your niche, standing out from amongst the crowd. How do you separate yourself? I'm separating myself because the other niche it's not even a niche. Most of these beauty schools are owned by older Caucasian men. I'm a female. I'm a Black female. So that's my other pow factor. And so what am I teaching my children? Go outside of the box. And this is a up north thing. I know down south there's more women that owns cosmetology schools, but up north there's not many that own cosmetology schools, and I want to be that one. We're still learning old school how to do perm rods and stuff like that on hair. Can we come up a little? I mean, this little blurb that you got on African American hair is not going to cut it in the industry. So can we come up a little? And this is what's going to separate me. And thank you. So I'm trying to teach my kids, you have to think outside of the box. And this is why I keep just moving. My daughter, even what she wants to study, it's becoming a big deal now. And I'm glad that she's on that path. She wants to be an environmental lawyer. She's going to be an environmental lawyer. You heard about this train derailment in Ohio that's killing the birds in the air and killing the sea life and stuff like that. Whatever is in there, it connects to the molecules of the water. She's calling me while I'm at work doing hair, talking to me about this. So you know that's where she is. Her passion is the environment. And so many of our young people are into the environment today. And I see that, and I acknowledge that for her. She started a club at her school, a hydroponics club in her school, to make sustainable food. So I see her passion, and it's something out of the box. It's something different. You don't see many, and they always talk about STEM. You don't see many girls in science and math, especially our little Black girls, and I'm happy to see that she is really passionate about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to address 2 things about Miss Baker. Put her comment back up there. Not the last one, the one before then. Congratulations, Tisha, on that. So yes, as parents, Miss Baker, I hope you're still here. Some of our kids need to find their niche. Okay. And then the influencers. Okay. So some kids are having a hard time finding their niche. I know like my son, he'll start and stop, start and stop. Like he opened up a clothing business thinking, because of the influencer, which is part two, because of the influencers, they thinking it's going to come overnight success, and that doesn't happen. Even on online businesses, it still takes time to grow. People don't know you. They don't like you. They don't trust you. If Niala is still listening, I want to say yes, the no like and trust factor. So it's not overnight. And I think sometimes, even if you have a niche like rainbows, my niche with my special needs community, handmade accessories and stuff, it's slow growing and it's a niche, but trying to find that messaging and trying to get to the people I'm trying to get to. So finding your niche, yes, like in hair business is pretty easy. You either like, I'm a braider. Well, I'm a braider. So, for me, that
It's
was
not
my
that easy. I'm going to say it's not that easy only because there's so many of us.
now.
Yes.
See, but I'm in Alabama as well. And so once they know that I'm not from here, it's like, okay, I'm going to Nikki. She knows what she's doing. And once they know how many years I've been doing it, that sets me apart. So
that's going to set me apart for the school. I'm from New York. Not only that, but I live in Delaware. How many schools? There's not many beauty schools out here.
You're getting me off the track with
Sorry,
Miss
go
Baker.
on track. Sorry,
the niche is kind of hard. You could find the niche, yes. Then you got to find your audience. And then the influencers. I'm sorry, there's so many influencers that I've been seeing lately committing suicide. There was one she was a young girl, 22, body shaming, but she was proud of her body according to her social media status, but she ended up committing suicide. But because of the pressure. So we have to make sure that
and the influencer that got killed in his home.
Yes. So we have to guard their minds, kind of open their minds, of course, but let them know, hey, you still have worth and value, even if society says otherwise, But yes, finding your niche is good because, like Yogi Dada, she's a success story now. Her niche was just different type of art on canvas. But then she niched it down to where she puts her drawings on earrings because she was, told negative things by an art professor. And so that put her back in the shell for a while, but now she's back out and she's successful. So it just depends.
And we have to teach us. It seems like the kids today don't have of course they want it like right now and they don't really want to work for it. I think some of us as parents have not, or they cannot take no for an answer, but we're going off topic. We're just talking about changing our children's lives and making their lives better. I mean, now we're going off on something different. That's a whole nother topic.
We was just talking about foster care are fabulous, how you continue on your journey, find your gift, your talent, move on, persevere, keep it moving, and be a light for someone else that might be in the same situation or worse. I never take my situation and compare it to someone else's because you just never know their capacity. So capacity is a certain other thing. And, a lot of times things happen. It's a learning moment. It's teaching us something. So, and then it's helping us to teach others. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify because I know in part one, someone had inboxed after the show and said that I seem to have a little, and I did respond to her and I said, I might have a twinge of something against my paternal grandmother, but all is forgiven for everything that has happened. I mean, I'm 50 years old now soon. June, I'll be 50. It's nothing now that can harm me or that I haven't forgiven because I have moved on. I am at a better place where people didn't think that I was going to be, so it's not like it's nothing you can say to me today that's going to hurt me. As a child, that's what I'm saying. When you're children, children remember things. And even as an adult, of course, I remember things, but I'm not going to let it harm me the way it did when I was a child. So all is
Pause.
forgiven. All is
I'm going to
forgiven.
take that back.
Okay.
I don't know who the person was that made the comment, but I'm sure you don't get along with everybody in your family either. You don't, and I think that's the problem that older generations had. Like, go hug Uncle Johnny. Well, Uncle Johnny is a predator, so if you felt that way then, I always say your feelings are valid. They're still valid today.
Right. I'm just saying I forgive. That doesn't mean I
Right.
need to be around you 24 hours a day. That doesn't
Or
mean I'm going
forget.
to
You
call
forgive
you.
the person, but you're not going to forget the actions. You're not going to forget what caused you to be at this place. And it's not, I feel like it's a twofold thing. It's not just your responsibility, it's her responsibility as well to acknowledge that what you did, to acknowledge it and then move on. But even if she never does, it's okay.
It's okay. And that's all I'm saying is I forgive. I forgive everything. But don't think that you're going to come forward and be like, oh, I was there when, because you weren't. Don't do that. And don't think that I'm going to be calling and texting and checking up on. I'm not doing that. I might every now, once in a blue moon, but that's not going to be me. And it's not because I'm being bitter. I forgive you, but I'm moving on with my life and I have my children to think about. And you're not the one that I'm thinking about. So it might be a guilt thing for you, but I have forgiven you. Thank you. Forgiveness does not mean access. Thank you, Renee. I couldn't have put it in a better way. Thank you. All right, guys, you have been watching Twinness. This was the wrap up to our From Foster Care to Fabulous. We did a 3-part series this time. The last time I think we did 4. And, we just took it way back and then part 2. And then now this is the end, the next generation. And I can't wait to see what our children do with their lives. That's our next generation. And I'm sorry. I just love teaching. Because I feel like I give back and it's still the young people. So we're still pouring in. We will never stop talking about our story. I try and just dose it in appropriate ways because I'm not going to just stand in front of the class and say this, that, and the other. But I have the freedom in this space to do that because I'm touching lives. I'm serious, And one student is about to leave my classroom. This is her last module, and she gets to go on the floor and actually do clients. And she came to me and was like, "Can you be my mentor?" And that was just like a special moment. So, yeah.
I always say, and we're gonna get off of here, that your job is you there for a reason and a season. Like, I don't stay at jobs very long. I'm there for whatever reason I'm supposed to be there. Once that is over, then I'm gone. So your job, for whatever reason you're there, you might be there for that young lady that's struggling right now. You're there for that young woman that just asked you to be her mentor. I mean, your knowledge or your advice and stuff like that, bringing in your special guests. It's there for a reason. You never know what seeds you're planting there that's going to come back later on. You know what I'm saying? Going back to your grandmother thing, the seeds she planted is what she's getting back. So anyway, so everything is for a season and for a reason.
Yes. So you're saying sowing in and then reaping. Sowing and reaping.
Yes.
I'm only there until May. And then after May, that's it. My class knows it.
When I was teaching at the college, my students, I'm still in contact with quite a few of my students. They'll inbox me or whatever and tell me what they're doing now. Sometimes they'll just say, "Hey, Miss Nikki, how are you?" So yes, you're there for whatever reason. Because I know when I was teaching, it would be after class because I would talk about rain a lot, and I would get a lot of special need questions after class. So a reason and a season.
A reason and a season. Thank you guys for watching Twinness. This is Tisha McDonald.
And I'm Tanika Gillard, naturally yours.
And we will see you next Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will catch you up next week because I have a lot of good, juicy stuff but I didn't want to bring it on this week. All right. Talk to you soon.
So long.